There's a brutal truth that most men never fully understand. The more you rise, the more you risk losing everything, and I'm not just talking about wealth or status. I'm talking about the very people who once called themselves your friends, your allies, your supporters. In the pursuit of greatness, you will inevitably leave others behind. And when that happens, the world you once knew can become your greatest enemy. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of power, understood this all too well. He said, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." In other words, your rise may bring you power, but it will also breed resentment. Those around you who once saw you as an equal may soon view you as a threat, a symbol of their own stagnation. And here lies the danger. While you're busy climbing, the people closest to you might quietly conspire to pull you back down. Most ambitious men make the mistake of believing that growth is universally admired, that everyone will rally around their success. But that's a myth. The reality is much darker. When you outgrow your circle, you will face betrayals, subtle sabotage, and isolation forces that can be just as dangerous as any enemy. If you want to avoid the mistakes that most ambitious men make, you must understand what Machiavelli knew about the dangers of outgrowing your circle. Stay with me, and I'll show you how to rise without falling, prey to the same traps that have claimed countless men before you. There's a popular narrative that gets repeated, like a mantra. When you improve yourself, everyone around you will rise with you. Society loves to tell us that personal growth is universally admired, that when one man achieves greatness, it will inspire others to follow suit. You see it everywhere, in books, in motivational speeches, and even in the world of social media. The message is clear. Grow, and others will celebrate your success. Your growth will lead to collective growth. It sounds idealistic, doesn't it? Like something out of a self-help guide where everyone is cheering each other on. In fact, this myth is so deeply ingrained that it becomes a measure of success for many men. They believe that as they grow, whether it's in their career, their physique, or their social standing, their friends, family, and even coworkers will naturally do the same. They'll be inspired, they'll follow your lead, and together you'll all rise to greater heights. But that's not the reality. Machiavelli, the great political strategist, saw human nature with a far clearer, more pragmatic lens. He understood something that most modern thinkers fail to grasp. Growth doesn't inspire everyone. It threatens those around you. In his writings, he reveals that the more power, success, or influence one gains, the more it disturbs the natural balance of relationships. Personal growth, especially rapid growth, doesn't always inspire admiration. More often, it triggers envy, resentment, and fear. The truth is, when you grow beyond those around you, you challenge their position in the social hierarchy. And this creates friction. Instead of celebrating your success, people may feel threatened, betrayed, or left behind. They may even resort to sabotage, undermining you in subtle ways you're not even aware of. What if your rise doesn't lead to applause, but to hidden dangers that you're completely unaware of? The reality is far more complicated than society would have you believe. Now, let's strip away the idealism and confront the reality. Machiavelli's philosophy offers a brutal but essential truth about human relationships. Power, fear, and envy are the driving forces behind the way people interact. The idea that personal growth will automatically benefit everyone around you is not only naive, it's dangerously out of touch with how power dynamics truly work. In his seminal work, The Prince, Machiavelli outlines the core principles of power. He didn't mince words. It is much safer to be feared than loved. At first, this may sound harsh, but what Machiavelli is saying is that power, whether it's in relationships, politics, or social circles, fundamentally operates on a balance of fear and respect. And when you rise, especially when your success outpaces those around you, you disturb that balance. When you begin to outgrow your circle, something inevitable happens. The people around you start to feel threatened. This isn't always immediate or obvious. It doesn't always manifest in overt hostility. But Machiavelli knew that human beings, especially those with weaker positions, will often react to a change in power with jealousy and suspicion. They may smile in your face while secretly wishing for your downfall, or they may engage in more subtle sabotage, undermining your efforts in ways you won't even notice at first. Consider Machiavelli's advice on loyalty and the fickleness of human nature. Men are driven by two main impulses: fear and self-interest. When you surpass others in status or wealth, you force them to confront their own stagnation. This can trigger a deep sense of insecurity, making them more likely to act out of self-interest to protect their own position. They no longer see you as a peer, but as someone who might threaten their social, financial, or emotional security. And in such cases, loyalty can quickly turn to rivalry. What's even more dangerous is the effect this can have on your trust. When you outgrow those around you, your relationships are no longer simple or straightforward. People may still smile at you, but trust erodes. In The Prince, Machiavelli also writes, "A wise prince ought to adopt such a policy that his citizens will always need him and be dependent on him." When your success makes others feel less dependent on you, or worse, makes them see you as a threat, they may turn against you. You may begin to question who's really on your side, and who's simply waiting for the right moment to pull you down. You may have already noticed it, how some people around you subtly undermine your progress. Perhaps it's a backhanded comment, or a dismissal of your achievements, or even a sudden shift in behavior that feels off. But what's really going on beneath the surface is the quiet, destructive power of envy and fear, a force far stronger than any admiration. So, the myth that personal growth will always inspire growth in others? That's not just misleading. It's dangerous. It sets you up to be blindsided by forces you may not even recognize until it's too late. As you rise, the danger isn't just in the challenges you face outside your circle. It's in the subtle, insidious shifts that happen within it. The higher you climb, the more you disturb the fragile balance of loyalty and hierarchy that holds your relationships together. And as Machiavelli understood all too well, that balance can quickly tip into something far darker: rivalry, betrayal, and even sabotage from those who were once your closest allies. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "It is not the cruelty of a prince that ruins him, but his inability to balance mercy with power." What he's getting at is that human nature is not built for stability. When one person rises above the others, especially if that rise is rapid, it shakes the very foundation of loyalty. People do not want to be left behind, and when they feel that they are, they will often resort to drastic measures to either pull you down or elevate themselves to your level. Machiavelli recognized that the threat to your power comes not just from external forces, but from those you trust. The true danger lies in the subtle, hidden acts of betrayal that stem from envy, insecurity, and fear. He knew that men are more inclined to be swayed by what they fear than by what they love. As your success forces others to confront their own inadequacies, their feelings of affection for you may quickly turn into something darker. The shift from loyalty to rivalry can happen overnight, and it's often masked by smiles, friendly gestures, and the illusion of camaraderie. But behind the scenes, envy brews. The more you rise, the more you become a threat, a symbol of everything they fear they are not. And this is where the danger truly lies. Those who were once closest to you, your friends, your partners, your allies, may start to see you as a rival instead of an equal. Let's look at a historical example: Julius Caesar. As he ascended to power in Rome, his rise was marked by alliances with many key figures, including Pompey and Crassus. At first, these relationships were founded on mutual benefit, but as Caesar's power grew, the bond between them soured. Pompey, once Caesar's ally, began to feel threatened by his rapid rise, eventually leading to the famous civil war between the two. What started as an alliance of convenience quickly turned into bitter rivalry, and ultimately, Pompey's betrayal. Caesar's ascent didn't just create power. It sowed the seeds of deep resentment, even among those who had helped him get to the top. Similarly, Henry VIII of England provides another stark example. His rise to power was not just about his success, but about his insatiable desire for dominance, so much so that he betrayed and executed some of his closest allies and friends, including Sir Thomas More and Anne Boleyn, when they no longer served his growing ambitions. His need for control grew so intense that it led him to betray even the people closest to him, showing that personal growth can quickly spiral into paranoid self-preservation. These were not simply political moves, they were personal acts of betrayal, rooted in fear and the desire to remain at the top, no matter the cost. The truth is, when you surpass your peers, you create a psychological and emotional rift that is often impossible to heal. Your closest allies may begin to fear that your success is a reflection of their own shortcomings. In Machiavellian terms, this is not just a matter of friendship or loyalty, it's a power struggle. And the most dangerous part? You may never see it coming. You see, the real danger isn't that you'll rise too high. It's that you'll do it alone. As you grow, those who once called themselves your friends, your supporters, will gradually reveal their true colors. They may feign admiration, but deep down, they will see you as a threat. The very loyalty you relied on can turn to resentment, and this resentment will morph into sabotage. Machiavelli's teachings reveal a dark reality. Personal success is a dangerous game, and those who rise often have to do so with a wary eye on those they leave behind. The men who trust too easily, who believe that everyone will celebrate their growth, are the ones most likely to be betrayed. The higher you climb, the more the people around you, especially those you thought were your closest allies, will look for ways to drag you back down. Whether it's a subtle snub, a strategic gossip campaign, or even outright betrayal, the risk is always there. And that's where the real danger lies. It's not just the act of rising, but the isolation that often follows. And by the time you realize the people around you are no longer your friends, it may already be too late. If you want to master the art of personal growth without triggering the destructive forces of envy and resentment, Machiavelli offers timeless advice. His strategy isn't about suppressing your ambition, it's about controlling how you rise and ensuring that your success doesn't destabilize the relationships around you. To truly master power, Machiavelli understood that subtlety, patience, and calculation are your greatest allies. One of Machiavelli's central tenets is that a wise ruler, whether a prince or an individual, must never reveal the full extent of their power too quickly. In his words, he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to deceive. But this isn't deception in the underhanded sense. It's about controlling perception. When you rise too quickly, when you flaunt your success or make it too obvious that you've surpassed your peers, you create an immediate target on your back. But if you rise gradually, carefully, with a keen awareness of how your ascent affects those around you, you can preserve your relationships while achieving your goals. One key aspect of Machiavellian strategy is strategic patience. Often, the most powerful figures are the ones who wait for the right moment to act, using time to their advantage. When you're growing, it's important to remember that your journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't rush your success, pace yourself. Keep your ambitions under wraps when possible, and allow others to catch up at their own pace. You don't have to broadcast every victory. Machiavelli understood that sometimes silence is more powerful than the loudest declarations of success. The wise man does not say everything he thinks, but thinks everything he says, he remarked. Furthermore, humility, or at least the appearance of humility, is another critical element of Machiavelli's advice. It's tempting to flaunt your success, especially when you've worked hard for it, but Machiavelli warns against it. Overt displays of superiority will inevitably make others feel inferior, provoking jealousy or resentment. Instead, make your rise appear effortless. Downplay your achievements. Act as if you're just like everyone else, only slightly ahead. This keeps the balance intact while allowing you to continue climbing. But it's not just about how you act, it's about how you make others feel. According to Machiavelli, a successful leader or rising figure must never alienate the people on whose support they depend. This means maintaining relationships, offering others the occasional win, and finding ways to make them feel involved in your journey without overshadowing them. You don't need to drag them up with you, but you also shouldn't let them feel discarded. Instead, use subtlety. Praise others when appropriate, make them feel seen and valued, and most importantly, never make them feel inferior. The most powerful men know how to rise without making enemies. They understand the delicate dance between ambition and relationships. Do you want to learn how to do this without losing everything? The answer is simple. Control your rise. Master the timing. Master the appearance. And most of all, master the art of making your ascent seem effortless and unobtrusive, so that you can climb without losing what you've already gained. Step 4. Maintain balance. The final step in ensuring your growth is balanced is constant recalibration. This means keeping your ego in check and never losing sight of the fact that your relationships are just as important as your ambitions. You have to balance personal growth with strategic emotional intelligence, building your success while also managing the human elements that come with it. This requires being patient, being humble when needed, and showing restraint. The game isn't just about your personal victory, it's about positioning yourself in a way that everyone feels they have a stake in your rise, thus minimizing the risk of resentment or betrayal. You don't have to go it alone. There's a way to grow that will protect you from the dangers of betrayal and resentment. But you need to know how to play the game. Mastering the art of balancing ambition with emotional intelligence, building strategic alliances, and always staying ahead of the game will ensure that your path to growth is not only successful, but also sustainable. In this journey of growth, one truth has become clear. Surpassing those around you comes with both power and peril. Machiavelli's insights reveal the real dangers of outgrowing your circle. How ambition, if unchecked, can lead to envy, isolation, and betrayal. He understood that power isn't just about rising. It's about managing your rise. And those who fail to navigate the complexities of human relationships often find themselves surrounded by enemies. Even among those who once called themselves friends, the FOMO trigger is undeniable. Many men will never understand these concepts. They will climb without strategy, burning bridges and alienating the very people who could have helped them secure their place at the top. The result? Betrayal, sabotage, and loneliness, forces that could easily have been avoided with a little foresight and emotional intelligence. Now it's your turn. Are you ready to navigate the complexities of power, relationships, and growth? If you're not, you might be leaving yourself open to dangers that you can't even see yet. Don't fall into the trap of rising without strategy. Use Machiavelli's teachings to grow wisely, build alliances, and protect yourself from the very forces that can tear down everything you've worked for. It's time to rise, but do it with awareness, control, and intelligence. Apply these lessons in your own life and start mastering the game today. The question is, will you rise alone or rise with the power of calculated alliances at your back? The choice is yours. When you surpass your peers, there's an inevitable shift. Relationships that once felt secure and supportive can become strained or even resentful. This creates a profound sense of loneliness. You may not immediately notice the effects, but over time, you'll feel it. The subtle distance that forms between you and those who are left behind. And this distance can quickly evolve into mistrust and disconnection, making it harder to maintain meaningful alliances. Machiavelli emphasizes the importance of alliances in consolidating and maintaining power. He notes that a wise ruler must never become too self-sufficient or isolated. You must always have a network of trusted allies who are invested in your success. But as you climb, the nature of those alliances will shift. You'll find yourself looking at people differently. Are they with you because of loyalty or because they're invested in their own gain? And here lies a profound challenge. As you outgrow your old relationships, you may find that those who once helped you rise now seek to tear you down or distance themselves for fear of being overshadowed. The emotional cost of this isolation can be significant. Machiavelli's cold wisdom reveals that even the most powerful figures must learn to navigate the dangers of solitude. When you lose too many connections, you may start to feel like you're fighting alone. No allies, no support. Even worse, you may find that those who once seemed loyal or aligned with your ambitions now see you as a threat. The higher you rise, the lonelier it gets. Can you afford to be alone at the top? Isolation isn't just a personal problem, it's a strategic risk that can leave you vulnerable to attack from those who once shared your circle. It's a trap you must avoid at all costs. Machiavelli's advice is clear. Never rise so high that you lose the very relationships that helped you get there. Power is most secure when it is backed by a network of alliances. Stay connected, stay alert, and never forget that isolation, while seductive, is a dangerous game as you continue to grow, rise, and pursue your ambitions. The key is not just in the speed of your ascent, but in how you navigate your relationships and the emotional landscape that comes with it. The path to balanced growth is about avoiding the traps of isolation, jealousy, and sabotage, all while continuing to progress in your personal and professional life. This is where Machiavellian strategies, when used wisely, can make all the difference. Step 1. Build new circles, carefully. One of the first things to understand is that as you rise, you will inevitably outgrow some of your old connections. But that doesn't mean you must go it alone. In fact, it's crucial that you build new circles alliances with individuals who are ambitious, driven, and who share a vision that aligns with your own. Look for people who complement your strengths and challenge you to grow in areas where you are weak. But be cautious. These new circles must be built on mutual respect and benefit, not just surface-level relationships. Machiavelli would advise you to be selective about who you bring into your inner circle. You need to know who you can trust, and who might be looking for a way to use you for their own benefit. Step 2. Master emotional intelligence. Machiavelli was not just a strategist of power. He understood the importance of human nature. Building relationships requires not just intellect, but emotional intelligence, the ability to read people, understand their motivations, and navigate emotional dynamics with finesse. This means learning to manage your own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. Be aware of the subtle signals people give off: jealousy, insecurity, admiration, and adjust your behavior accordingly. When you rise, some will try to challenge you, others will seek to bring you down, and a few will genuinely support your ascent. Knowing how to differentiate between these types and respond strategically will help you avoid unnecessary conflict and protect yourself from the jealousy and sabotage that so often accompany success. Step 3. Use Machiavellian strategies to forge alliances. Machiavelli wasn't just about playing dirty. He understood that alliances were central to maintaining power. In your own journey, alliances are your best defense against isolation and betrayal. To form these alliances, look for individuals who have something to gain from your success. But the key is in the exchange. You must also offer something in return. You don't need to buy loyalty, but you must offer value in the relationship. Use calculated flattery, reciprocity, and shared goals to bond with key people. Acknowledge their strengths and contributions, making them feel as though they are integral to your progress, while subtly positioning yourself as a figure who is indispensable to them. This mutual dependency is what creates a bond that survives the dangers of envy and competition. In Machiavelli's worldview, the ability to manipulate is not just a tool, it's a necessity for maintaining power and control. And when it comes to personal growth, mastering the art of manipulation allows you to navigate the treacherous waters of human relationships, especially as you rise above those around you. But make no mistake, manipulation here doesn't mean deceitful trickery for its own sake. It means controlling the perceptions and actions of others in a way that preserves your power, secures your position, and ensures that no one can undermine your progress. In The Prince, Machiavelli famously advised, "The ends justify the means." This doesn't mean that any action, no matter how ruthless, is acceptable. It means that when you are pursuing power, your actions must be measured and strategic. Manipulation, when used in a calculated, thoughtful manner, is not a flaw but a tool that can help you maintain control over both your destiny and the people who influence it. As you rise, people will either align with you or oppose you, and it's your ability to manage both reactions that determines your success. Machiavelli understood that people are driven by their own desires, fears, and insecurities, and that these emotions are often more influential than reason. Men are driven more by fear than by love, he said. Therefore, the most effective manipulation is rooted in understanding and exploiting those emotions. When you surpass others in your journey of growth, you must recognize that their fear of being left behind, fear of your success, fear of their own stagnation, will play a massive role in how they interact with you. One of the most crucial aspects of Machiavellian manipulation is perception management. It's not always about what you do. It's about how others perceive what you do. This means controlling how you present yourself, how you communicate your progress, and even how you respond to others. If you appear too confident, too dominant, or too successful, you'll trigger negative emotions like jealousy and resentment. Instead, downplay your victories. Let people believe that you're still struggling, or that your success is the result of circumstances beyond your control. This doesn't mean lying. It means keeping the narrative in your favor, making sure that your rise appears as natural, effortless, and almost deserved as possible. Another key element of manipulation is playing on others' egos. Machiavelli often spoke about how a leader must always keep others dependent on them, whether emotionally, socially, or financially. By making others feel important and needed, you maintain their loyalty and make them feel invested in your success. It's a subtle form of control that ensures they don't feel threatened by you, but rather empowered by being part of your journey. You can do this by giving credit where it's due, acknowledging others' contributions, and making them feel that their success is tied to yours. But manipulation also means controlling your own emotions and reactions. In the face of envy or resistance, the wise man doesn't react with anger or frustration. Instead, he uses calm, calculated responses that make others feel validated while quietly keeping his power intact. For instance, if someone challenges you, instead of shutting them down aggressively, acknowledge their point and steer the conversation in a way that reinforces your authority without making it obvious. In practical terms, this means using psychological techniques like mirroring, mimicking the body language, tone, or attitudes of others to build rapport, framing, presenting your actions in a positive light, even when the outcome is less than ideal, and creating dependence, offering others something they need while subtly ensuring they rely on you to fulfill that need. The moment you start growing beyond those around you, you'll be forced to play a game you never imagined. Will you rise to the challenge or let others dictate your fate? Machiavelli knew that success comes not just from hard work or skill, but from mastering the psychological game of human relationships. If you want to stay in control and avoid the hidden dangers of outgrowing your circle, you must learn how to manipulate perceptions, manage your relationships, and, above all, maintain an air of subtle dominance that keeps others from ever questioning your rise. As you rise in status, power, or influence, you may start to feel the weight of isolation pressing in on you. The higher you climb, the more you risk leaving others behind: friends, family, colleagues, even mentors. And while the view from the top might be exhilarating, it often comes with an emotional and a social cost. You may find yourself surrounded by fewer genuine connections, as the people who once shared your path may feel alienated by your success or, worse, become your enemies. This is the trap of isolation, and it's a danger that even the most powerful figures must navigate carefully. Machiavelli understood the delicate balance between rising in power and maintaining crucial alliances. In The Prince, he writes, "It is not enough to have power. You must also have allies who will stand by you." He knew that power, when isolated, can quickly become precarious. The more you outgrow those around you, the more you risk cutting yourself off from the very network that could support you when times get tough. Isolation is not just an emotional experience, it's a strategic vulnerability.